that. I'm going to pull our chat out. Oh, it's not blue anymore.
Yeah. Well, now it is.
Oh, well, it's starting. There we go. What time? We're starting. It's a couple of minutes early, but we're gonna go. Oh, wait, I need to share.
Mm-hmm.
Also, this has been doing a weird thing where it crashes if I try to navigate to our profile, so I'm just going to find it on my timeline here. Stars Veritas. You know, I'm putting it there too, then Kiss My Ass is the finale.
I don't know if we qualify as wholesome.
Well, we don't go out of our way to hate Star Wars on our Star Wars fan,
That's true.
channel. So I guess that makes us wholesome. I guess Star Wars Theory made this video like last week, bitching about how he doesn't like Andor because Tony Gilroy isn't a Star Wars fan, and then got a bunch of shit about it, and then deleted the video.
Sometimes bullying can be used for good. Is it time?
Yes, I had to remember where to go, but yeah, it's
All right.
time. Let's go. Let's do it. Welcome back to Jedi Enclave. I am Daniel.
I'm Chris.
And we are the hosts of the Jedi Enclave Presents the Now This Is Podcasting Podcast, which is our weekly podcast about all things Star Wars and other nerd things we enjoy. This, a momentous fucking day.
God.
We are going to be talking about the amazing, absolutely stunning Star Wars Andor series finale, episodes 10, 11, 12.
Yep.
And then The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 5. We're not going to stall a whole bunch because we need to get into this and we'll never finish if we sit here and talk.
Oh, so we're not talking about the trailers?
Oh, you know what? Yes, give me a second. We can spare a couple of minutes. But while you're here, make sure you follow us on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitch, Discord, Blue Sky. A couple of things to get out of the way that should be first. First of all, it is George Lucas's 81st birthday today.
As we record this, maybe not if you're seeing the podcast in the future, but anyway,
today,
happy birthday, George.
Yeah, right now it is, yeah. As we know, like regardless of what parts of Star Wars you like, what parts of Star Wars you didn't like, what parts of George Lucas's dialogue writing you like,
you don't get any of it without George Lucas.
Yeah, he's a once in like 10 generations creative visionary, and just also his work aside, honestly, one of the good ones.
Pretty cool guy.
If I were to pick one billionaire to spare, like when we go eat the rich, we'll probably let George Lucas go.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Dude's basically a giant hippie anyway.
That's true. And then, by the way, Jedi Enclave on Facebook passed this week 25,000 followers, which for us is a big deal.
That's like 24,990 more than I expected we'd ever get.
It has been really cool to connect with so many kind of nerdy Star Wars fans who also like other things, and I gotta tell you, over the years of doing this and reaching out to all of our fellow Star Wars fans, that it doesn't seem like the thing the media always picks up on is how terrible people are about Star Wars in social media, but I will say that on my day-to-day dealings with Star Wars fans, it isn't as like the average Star Wars fan isn't that kind of disgusting, terrible person, and I'm glad that we have gotten to know so many of them through the life of this project and everything.
Sure, you mostly hear about the terrible things in any circumstance.
Right. So if you are one of our followers, thank you. Some of you probably even watch the podcast. Like 6 or 7 of you probably even watch the podcast. So thank you. Thank you for your support, guys. Is what I'm saying. We love you guys. It's been really awesome so far. And Ian here says, "Hi there, both. I'm so emotional that Andor had finished. Such an emotional ride. The last arc was sublime, poetic, and weaved in Rogue One perfectly. I agree. And we'll get there when we get there.
Hold on to that thought for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, we're going to get to a couple of things, but we are going to talk a lot about Andor today. So let's see. We did social media, George Lucas, 25,000 followers. Let's talk some trailers real quick.
Okay. So I was off work today because I was having a dentist appointment. So I was in the middle of the day. I was just scrolling through YouTube like I do. Mm-hmm. And there was a trailer for Ironheart, the new Marvel series that's coming up.
Yep. Well, one of two big. We'll
get there.
I think Ironheart might have actually that trailer might have dropped a couple days ago.
Maybe.
But I didn't know about it before you told me about it.
Yeah.
And I had kind of forgot this one was happening.
Yeah.
So
there's just so much shit happening that some of it just falls off the radar.
Yeah. And also, like, it's cool. Like, we're getting something from Ryan Coogler, who obviously did the Black Panther stuff, but also
he had that recent horror movie, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Everyone I've talked to about that movie says they loved it.
Yeah, it apparently was very good. And I liked the actor that played Riri Williams in Wakanda Forever. Mm-hmm. The guy from... He's in Twisters, but also he's in like other stuff too. He's really good. Like, he's a really good actor. He's in it. We'd be remiss if we didn't mention that with the MCU, the track record is a little all over the place.
Yeah.
So it's hard to tell where this one's going to land. If it's anything like Thunderbolts, it'd be good.
Yeah.
But if it's anything like Secret Invasion, maybe not so much.
Yeah.
So.
It's just hard to say. Like, we have a basic idea of the plot, but we don't have anything that immediately like jumps out as a red flag to me, at least.
Yeah. So what's the deal with this guy's jacket? Is it like, because it kind of reminded me a little bit of Doctor Strange in his like sentient cape,
or maybe the Harry Potter invisibility cloak.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know. It kind of had some kind of magical vibe to it. I don't know. But then he's carrying
I'm
a
assuming
Glock.
it's technology, because that's like the whole thing.
Yeah, he does that whole trailer is him saying, "Here's a box of money. Do what I say."
Yeah. And Riri's like, well, building things costs money, so let's go with it.
I like or need money. So.
I want to build many things that cost a lot of money.
Yeah. So, that's coming out
June.
Yeah, June. We'll talk about it when it comes out. Because we're kind of like
Riri Williams does crimes.
Yeah. Which I think that could be very cool.
Yeah.
Also,
then later, Superman.
Yes.
Had a new trailer.
This is James Gunn's venture. So they already had me sold on the first. It was like the Super Bowl trailer, I think, or whatever that first trailer was. And this is kind of just deep in that, where I love the look of it. And I was not a huge fan, and I know Snyder Bros are going to come after me about this. I was not a huge fan of Man of Steel. I liked Henry Cavill as Superman, but I didn't love the story and the dark, gritty, like...
Because that's not what Superman is.
Yeah,
he's the fucking circus strongman. He wears blue tights with red underpants on the outside.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he wants people to notice.
And he leaps over buildings in a single bound and goes faster than a locomotive.
Don't get me wrong. Do your fucking gritty Batman story. Yeah. I'll watch the fuck out of it. I love shit like that.
Batman is the DC character to be super gritty about. Yeah. Superman is supposed to be this inspirational figure
he's a
that
Boy
draws
Scout.
out the best of it, the best of humanity.
Big, sexy as fuck alien Boy Scout. Mm-hmm. Those words didn't go well together after.
No, we should keep going. So
hold on.
Okay.
Big, sexy alien man scout.
Okay, that works.
That's better. Which, by the way, David Cornswet is a very attractive man. Also, I love that they're holding on to the John Williams music, which we've discussed before. John Williams famously wrote like the Superman theme, which is another thing I had a problem with Man of Steel, is that they're like, okay, John Williams wrote this pinnacle of musical composition, like this pinnacle film scoring with this one of the most recognizable movie themes of all time, and we're gonna scrap that and have Hans Zimmer come in and write something. Well,
Hans Zimmer probably didn't even write it. It was the assistants he keeps chained up in his basement.
That's true, and that always left a bad taste in my mouth, because like I grew up listening to that John Williams score, and the fact that they're using it again is really exciting. Also, big floaty, colorful thing at the end that's attacking the city, which I feel like is the most James Gunn thing I've ever seen. Right.
Also, there's apparently a plot point in the movie, because it was in this newest trailer where Lois Lane gets an interview with Superman, and she's like kind of confrontational with him.
Right, but she's talking to, so she must know that Clark Kent and Superman are the same guy. Obviously, yeah, and she he thinks it's gonna be like, he's like, oh, we're fucking. She's gonna be real easy on
softball
me.
questions.
Yeah.
No.
She's like,
no, she's like, you
may have committed war crimes.
Yeah, you may have made U.S. foreign policy all on your own when you're not elected. Can't really do that.
Yeah,
Elon Musk.
Yeah, I don't think he's trying to do foreign policy, is he? I don't know.
Hopefully not.
Yeah,
because he shouldn't.
I hope not.
He shouldn't be anywhere near the government anyway. Anyway,
so that comes out July?
I think so. It's sometime this summer.
Yeah, which we'll be seeing. There are a lot of movies this summer we're going to go out and see.
There's
talk
Jurassic
about
Park.
Podcast, yeah. Yeah, we'll see it. It's probably going to suck, but we'll see it. There are a couple of others too. So
anyway,
let's get on to Star Wars Andor. This week had the series finale season 2 episode 10, 11, and 12. I want to start off real quick with some spoiler-free thoughts. Why don't you do you want to start, or do you want me to start?
I can start. So this, I think, didn't hit the very highest highs of the previous batch of episodes.
The last week.
Which is perfectly fine.
Yep.
Because that was the climax, and we need a little bit of falling action.
Yeah. Though
we also had to connect directly into Rogue One, which they did a good job of.
So you're correct. I think now that I've seen the whole show, that third set of episodes is some of the best Star Wars I've ever seen.
Yeah. It is what the entire series, season 1 and all, has been building to.
Yeah. That being said, I enjoyed these episodes a lot.
Yeah.
And the stuff that they did in these episodes was still really cool. Like, there's a lot of really cool shit.
They made some very brave choices.
Yes.
Did some things with some characters that you might not have seen coming.
Yeah.
But make complete sense in the context that they've created. And
they end with a perfect dovetail into Rogue One, which my partner and I watched it last night. Which, by the way, he turns into a pumpkin right around 9:30 p.m. He has to go to bed. We stayed up till nearly 11 to watch all 3 episodes, and there was just a brief second where we considered just putting Rogue One on, and watching Rogue One,
so because it's a perfect connection.
Anyway, it's what Tony Gilroy gave us a gift with this show, the first season and this season, and
if he's to be believed, Kathleen Kennedy assisted a great deal with that gift.
Yeah, I did. I read the things he said about that,
because he went to her and said, "Okay, this show is going to open with our protagonist killing 2 cops," and Kathleen Kennedy was like, "Absolutely, let's do it."
Oh, and we're going to start in a brothel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Sounds great. We want the set designer, the production designer from Chernobyl.
All right, we'll make it happen.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is also a really good way to illustrate what an executive producer does. Mm-hmm.
She cuts checks.
Yeah, and also, I mean, more than that, she removes obstacles so that the creative types can do their own work, right?
Yep.
And I do like how they ended that quote. He ended that quote with, like, I can't believe how much shit she gets online. Like, it's fucking crazy. She's really good at her job, and like, fuck y'all, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just this whole thing. Both seasons of this show, particularly the second season, is a triumph in the Star Wars franchise. Deepens the story in such a rich, multi-layered way. And I think should probably be the period at the end of the sentence when it comes to developing the story in the original trilogy continuity.
Prior to this show, we had been told that the Empire was bad.
Yeah.
We had been told that they were a terrible thing for the galaxy and a huge step down from the Republic in terms of the average citizen's life.
Freedoms and,
But we never got to see what that meant.
Right.
We didn't get to see what that was like.
Yeah.
And if nothing, even if it didn't do anything else, Andor showing us the terror and the horror of living under the Empire would have been enough.
Yeah.
But they also told a really fucking good story with it, with all these characters that you you feel something for, even
Right.
if you don't care so
even
much for.
even the ones you don't like very much.
Even the bastards,
Yeah, right.
you kind of get into their head and at least understand a little bit
Right.
about them.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I love about it too is that the story is very tragic in a way, even though like how Cassian Andor's story ends going into this, and like that's not a secret. But I love that they lay down this series of sacrifices that different characters make that lay the foundation for a fucking farm boy from Tatooine and a princess from Alderaan. That is the foundation that they stand on, where they're able to finally defeat the Empire, and that they didn't do it alone, and that there was this whole iceberg of ordinary people doing the right thing and sacrificing their lives to make it happen.
One of the big themes / real world lessons of this show is that putting together a rebellion like this means that you have to fight to win.
Right.
It's not enough to fight just to fight.
Right.
If you're going to do this, you have to win.
You win or you die. It's like
Yes.
Game of Thrones.
And
when you play the Game of Thrones, you either win or you die.
and trying to win means that some people on your side are going to die. It might even
Yeah.
be you if you're signing up for that.
Right.
You, like Saw says, rebellion is not a sport for the sane.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, we all have to be fucking crazy to do this,
yeah.
guys. Yeah.
Like, you have to accept that there is an excellent chance that you might die, but it's for a good cause.
Yeah, even if you're not around to enjoy it. Yeah, like you do it for all the people that follow you.
Luthen fucking burning his life out for a sunrise that he'll never get to see.
Yep. All right. Shall we get into spoilers?
I think we have
let's-
to.
Yeah, let's get through this story and we'll talk about it. I am at the end of this going to go and read some comments that you guys made on Facebook about your thoughts and everything. Also, we'll be reading off of the live chat in between episodes when it makes sense. So feel free to get your chats in. But we start this week on episode 10 called Make It Stop. And we open in the art shop, the gallery. And they're, they have the secret radio in the drawer and everything. That radio is making a sound that we've never heard. And there's a red light we've never seen blinking. So you're like, what the fuck's happening here?
Fuck is that, man?
Yeah. And I got a little panicked at first because like no one picked it up. And I was like, wait, why is no one answering this? Like, oh no, are Luthen and Clea dead?
What have we missed?
Yeah. And Clea appears in the doorway and she's like, oh shit, it's the red light. Oh no.
Yeah.
Lonnie Young, which by the way, there was this huge detail that we both missed last week, where the reason that we knew Bail Organa's team was compromised during the Senate thing was because the supervisor, the ISB supervisor or officer that was on the Bail team was Lonnie Young's agent.
Yeah.
And so he was the one that told Luthen about it.
Yeah.
Right? So it's really cool. It's just like,
Yeah.
and they don't beat you over the head. I fucking missed it.
Yeah,
right.
Very subtle detail for them to put
Yep.
in, but it ties everything together.
Yeah. So Lonnie Young leaves work at the ISB looking real fucking worried. And while Clea and Luthen are like arming themselves and getting their wigs and shit on the Fondor, Clea is really worried that something might be up. And she's like, Luthen, be careful. And like, look, if you go to talk to this guy, if it doesn't look absolutely perfect, don't engage. And Luthen says, I think we've used up all our perfect. And Clea gives him this really sad smile. And I think they both know, like,
the walls are closing in.
Yeah.
Like they cannot keep hiding in plain sight forever.
right. And then she tells him she's like, tuck your fucking shirt in.
Yeah.
You fucking slob. So Luthen meets with Lonnie on a bench next to like a pond. And Lonnie apparently sounded a special alarm.
He says, I'm burned.
Right. Well, hold on. We learn a bunch of things, but the alarm is like an emergency. You only hit it once, kind of thing. And he's rung that alarm. And we've learned the following things. Daedra is closing in on Axis, who is Luthen. It's only a matter of time before they found him. In fact, they probably already know that it's Luthen. Young is burned. He had Dedra's access codes, and he snooped around a little too much for them not to notice. But what he saw was so important and critical. This is why he rung the alarm, and he tells him, like, I wasn't followed because if they knew what I saw, they never would have let me leave the building. I'd be dead already.
Luthen's like, what did you see? Fucking tell me.
He's like, what? Boy, you're starting to scare me. What did you find? And he's like, I know what we've been chasing. But before I tell you, I need safe passage for my wife and kids, and then I'll tell you everything. And Luthen's like, dude, if this is as big of a deal as you say it is, we cannot wait. Like, you have to tell me right now. And so Young tells him that the Empire's building a weapon, that the Gorman massacre was just a cover to mine materials, Palpatine's energy program was a lie, and they're mining kyber crystals on Jedha, which is a cool, obviously we tie into Rogue One at the end, but it's a cool early tie-in, and that they're building a weapon, and
the engineer Galen Erso is involved.
Yes, and then Luthen's like, all right, tell me about this weapon. And then we cut to Luthen walking away from the meeting, looking very disturbed. He looks like he saw a fucking ghost, right? And then we get a shot of Young just dead on the bench where they met. Like, Luthen just shot him right in the heart and walked away. Dude is hard as fuck. Well, steel.
Ice cold.
Yeah, ice cold. That's what I meant. Not boner hard, psychologically hard. Luthen makes Clea memorize all the important details of his meetings, and she repeats back the key details. Gorman, Scarif, Kyber, Krennic, Galen Erso, super weapon.
Yes.
Based on Scarif. Fuel from Gorman, Kyber from Jedha. And she's saying it over and over and over again. And he's like, okay, no, that's pretty, you have an impressive memory, girl. That's actually pretty good. And Clea doesn't want to leave Luthen.
Yeah.
But he's making them split up. And
he's like, okay, here's the thing. One of us has to get this information to Yavin. One of us has to go back to the shop and get rid of all the evidence. We cannot let them track the whole Rebel network, because if they get the shop, we're screwed.
Particularly that radio.
Yes.
Because that's if that falls into enemy hands, that is trouble.
So here's what's going to happen. Clea, you are going to get on a ship and go to Yavin and fucking tell the rebels what's going on.
Yep.
I'm going to go back to the shop and fucking destroy the radio, and I'll meet you there.
Which is actually, you think I couldn't help but think back to last week's episode when he and Mon Mothma were talking, and he says, "Oh, there is no Yavin for me," and he meant in that scene, he meant in the moment.
Yes,
right now,
he still has work to do on Coruscant.
But I think what he actually meant was, that's not where I end up. Right?
Maybe.
So
he can't see the future.
No, I think he knows. It's that conversation he had with Lonnie in the first I am meant to die doing this. This is my So he goes back to the shop. He destroys the secret radio. He's got a little thing of acid, which is, by the way, if you go to Disney World and you get a drink in Galaxy's Edge, they come in these little Star Wars looking containers, and that's kind of what it looked like.
Okay.
And so he pours acid, and then there's a chime at the door.
He's like, motherfucker.
He's like, who is interrupting my radio burning? And he goes out, and you don't see who's at the door first. But you see his expression. He's very cold, and then he plasters that Luthen smile on, and he opens the door, and it's Dedra. And then you're like, oh shit.
Oh.
Because she has spent this entire time, 2 fucking seasons pretty much, chasing Luthen, and he's right there in front of her.
5 years of her life, basically?
Right. So he keeps up the charade at first, right? And they're
oh, welcome in. Come look at my antiquities.
Yes. He makes a really funny line about how he's like, in the art world, fakes are a huge problem.
Yeah, Dedra asks, is everything here real?
And he's like, there are only 2 pieces of questionable provenance in this shop.
She's like, well, which 2?
Well, and so our friend April from Gungans and Dragons brought this up as well. I'm pretty sure he's referring to the 2 of them.
100% he is.
And it's this dude plays mental chess all over the place. I love it. So Luthen shows Dedra a dagger, and he's like, do you like this fucking knife? It's from Nautilin. And she's like, yeah, it's pretty cool, I guess. And then
pretty
Deborah...
cool knife. Let me show you what I brought.
Yeah.
Opens up her briefcase.
Deborah shows her cards. She pulls the Imperial Starpath unit.
From
the first
season 1.
Yeah, season 1. the thing that started this whole thing, and clunks it down, and he's like, and she's
what
like,
do you give me for?
Yeah, how much? And like you can see, like Luthen just drops the act, like his face just fucking changes on the spot, and he knows he's cornered.
It's like, well,
yeah,
this is it.
And she tells him, first of all, she's like, "You've been the obsession of my life for 5 years. I've lost a partner over this. My entire life has been about hunting you down, and I have imagined this moment so many different times in so many different ways. And don't even, motherfucker, for a second consider running, because I have this building surrounded. It is over."
If Captain Ahab could talk to Moby Dick, this is basically
right.
what he'd say.
Yes.
And she's like enjoying her moment of triumph.
Oh, she's like,
and she's basking turns
in it.
away,
Yep.
and when she turns back around,
well, hold on. Luthen says, "Freedom scares you, but you're too late. The rebellion isn't here anymore. It's flown away. It's everywhere now. There's a whole galaxy out there to disgust you." And Deidre like looks over his shoulder and sees smoke billowing from where like the radio is.
She's like, "Wait, what the fuck?"
And she gets distracted because she's like, "Oh God, he's burning evidence."
Yeah.
And she turns back around, and Luthen has used that dagger to stab himself. And she starts to panic because like this is
right in the gut, by the way,
Yeah.
which is like one of the worst places to stab yourself.
Yeah, also not the most efficient.
Yeah, like he probably should have slit his own throat.
Right.
That would have
Yeah.
ended things quicker.
Oh, YouTube was just like, "Oh, this is not going to be this is her only lead.
Yeah. So Dedra's like, "Holy shit, get everyone in here right now. I need a medic to keep this man alive.
Yeah.
And also we need to save as much evidence as we can. So get
Yeah,
CSI
whatever's
in here
burning
right
back there, fucking make it stop burning."
Yeah.
And they're able to keep Luthen from dying. And they have him on the stretcher. They put him in the ambulance. And Clea watches from a crowd. Very like a whole range of emotions going over her face right now for reasons that we'll learn about here in a second. So back at ISB headquarters, the ISB is freaking the fuck out. And you remember Deidre's gay assistant, who is now what is his name? Supervisor Hirt? Yeah.
Hirt.
I throughout my notes I've just put gay assistant guy because that's how I remember him. And it's like, what the fuck is this about Young? And they're like, what happened with Young? No, this is about Deidre Miro. And he's like, what's
going on with Dedra?
So he has this meeting with Partagaz. Apparently her raid has gone very badly, and Partagaz is pissed. And he pretty much is like, she's overstepped for the last time.
Like, this was not her desk. She did not get moved back to Axis after Gorman.
Right.
She was assigned to something else.
Yes, and she didn't tell anyone that she was doing
She has gone completely rogue.
Yes.
She just borrowed some ISB soldiers and said, "Hey, we're going to go do this now."
Yeah. By the way, Partagaz is told that Young is dead. And this man, by the way, the actor that plays Partagaz is amazing.
Yeah.
If you remember the Game of Thrones days, he plays Qyburn in Game of Thrones. But he's got this look on his face like, oh no, this has to be like connected.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So CSI Coruscant goes through Luthen's shop and the Fondor, which made me really upset because it was like, get the fuck off that ship. That's a good ship. That's our ship. They bring in a special like radio. They like call the Radio Shack, and they're like, "Hey, can you do you have a guy that can come over here?"
The Imperial Radio Shack.
Right. And so she starts to take a look at the radio, and
she's actually, this is a really fucking cool radio.
Yeah, this is this a fucking custom radio? What the fuck?
Yeah, this is really cool.
Is this the rebellion? I'm gonna join the rebellion. They have really cool radios. So meanwhile, Clea is at the Rebel Airbnb. And this place has seen better days.
Yeah.
Like it's clear no one's stayed here in a long time. Probably not since Cassian and Bix were living there.
Probably the last time anyone was there would be Cassian and Mon Mothma.
And Mon Mothma, sure, yeah. So Clea is having some trouble processing what just happened.
Yes.
And she's trying to calm herself down and everything. And we get a flashback to when Luthen and Clea meet, because it turns out that Luthen was an Imperial officer or
sergeant.
Yeah. And they were on some mission, and a bunch of civilians were being slaughtered. And over the sounds of their screams, he keeps like telling himself, "Make it stop." And you can see the moment where he just breaks Like he just breaks.
Like he's reciting some mantra to himself in.
Well, I thought he was just saying make it stop in his native language, maybe.
Probably, but
he hears a sound and sees that he has a stowaway on his ship, and he like gives her the shush thing when like one of his buddies comes in, his Imperial guys come in, and
like, hey, we need you out here to send more civilians to the Backstreet Boys reunion tour. And he's like, I'll fucking be there.
Yeah,
just give me a second.
I'll be right out there, and he looks over at Clea and he's like, oh, I guess I have a daughter now. All right. So present day Clea recovers a hidden bag in the apartment. She gets into the ceiling tiles.
Chisels through.
No, not that yet.
Oh yeah,
not
yeah,
yet. And she gets a bag out with 2 objects. We don't know what they're for, but she like sticks them in her pocket. She puts her hair up, and it's clear that she's got like one mission left. Yeah. And it became pretty obvious. John and I both looked at each other and were like, oh, she's going to have to kill Luthen. Like, of course, because there's no way she's going to rescue him.
You're not getting him out, not after he stabbed himself in the gut, and that is the one guy in the rebellion that you cannot have talking to the Imperials.
So, also, it's obviously for operational security, but now we're starting to learn that Clea has this long relationship with Luthen since her childhood, and she's obviously not going to let him get tortured at the hands of the Imperials too.
So this is a tiny bit of a sidetrack, but they've been doing these YouTube videos, Andor Declassified, where they go behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I actually had time today to watch the video for this batch of episodes. Okay. Clea's actress says, I'm paraphrasing here, but in her opinion, Clea didn't see Luthen as a father because that would have required her to forgive him for his role in
what happened.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
So like the way she sees it, Clea kind of pulled Luthen into the rebellion rather than Luthen training Clea to be in the rebellion just because
it's an interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't know if that's like canonically the reasoning.
Yeah, I don't know. And when you look at what we're about to get into here in a bit, when you look at Clea's reaction after she does what she does, I think she loved him. I really do think she loved him. Maybe she didn't forgive him all the way for what happened. But.
Yeah, the actor says in that special that like she kind of hates Luthen, but she also kind of loves him. Yeah, and those two things are kind of at war.
Which, by the way, that's a good complex way to build your character. Yeah. Like to have conflicting feelings and not knowing what to do with it and everything.
This man was part of the atrocity that completely derailed my life,
but he saved me.
And yes,
right, yeah. So Clea goes down to the hospital where Luthen's being treated. The entire floor he's on is shut down. There are fucking stormtroopers everywhere. Deidre's up there.
Deidre's up there, like, talking to the doctor, like, I need him talking yesterday. Yeah. And the doctor's like, this room, this special intensive care room is the only reason he's still alive.
Yeah. And she's like, well, give him some meth or something. Like, wake him the fuck up.
Wake him up. I need to interrogate him.
Yeah. So, at some point, she hears she gets the idea that she'll be able to talk to him like maybe tomorrow night or something.
I think she just invents this in her head.
She was just really she's
wishfully thinking. Yeah, she's trying to manifest it.
Manifest success. Yeah. So Clea gets in with a fake hand wound, and she sneaks into the medical staff locker room, and she gets one of those objects out of her pocket, which is just for hacking doors.
It is a safe cracker, basically.
And she starts opening everyone's locker, and finally she finds a locker with scrubs in it, and so she puts those on. Which, by the way, I think the scrubs in this hospital, like, it's a pretty sharp look. It's pretty cool. I don't think we've ever actually been in a proper hospital in Star Wars before.
Also, I think the staff wear like clear plastic slippers or something.
They very well might, yeah. And according to George Lucas, none of them were wearing bras because there are no bras in space. So, Dedra is visited by a gay assistant. And it turns out Dedra is in tons of trouble.
Yes.
And now she's under arrest.
Yes.
And you can see when he says, I'm here to arrest you, she's like, oh, well, that's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. Like, I caught Axis.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? We won.
Yeah. So Clea steals a patient in a wheelchair.
I love, like, we've all known an old lady like this, right? Like, she's probably going a little bit senile.
She probably has no idea where she is.
It is just happy to be here.
Yeah, she's gone on a ride.
Yeah, it's just, hey, you can push through the hallway. This is great.
Yeah, because there was that one scene after she just kind of like abandons her, where she's like kicking her feet, like, and just kind of talking to herself. She's having the time of her life. So she steals a patient in a wheelchair and makes her way upstairs. Then we get another look at the past where Clay has grown up a little bit, and Luthen's trying to sell this art piece to this dealer, and Clea negotiates for him, and like we learn that Clea is kind of like you don't want to fuck with her.
Yeah, even like 12 years old, she's a hard ass.
Yeah, she's very formidable, and she like gets the price that they want and everything, and
almost the price they want.
Right, and then Luthen is just like, all right.
I love this. At one point, the shopkeeper is like, "Well, 8, but 9 if you smile." And Clea finally gets her down to 18. She says, "I'm not fucking smiling."
18 and fuck your smile. Yeah. Yeah. So we learn about Clea that she is from a very young age very formidable, and you don't fuck with her. So Clea gets to the floor below Luthen's floor, and she's about to go up, and she gets stopped by a trooper who calls her love, by the way, and it feels a little
real
gross. Yeah. And he's like, hey, you can't go up here. It's sealed. So, you're going to have to turn around. She's like, oh, well, I'll just drop my patient off on this floor. We'll get her checked in, and we'll figure it out. So so she takes stolen grandma onto that floor. So, and I'm pretty sure that in the closed captions of this episode, they refer to that character as Granny.
I think so, yeah.
So, past Luthen and Clea watch a group of civilians. They're
trying to barter away another artifact.
Right, and they watch a group of civilians march in. They're about to be killed by firing squad. And Luthen wants to leave, but Clea forces herself to watch. And Luthen's like, well, fine, seat yourself, fuck off. And
I'm leaving. Yeah. See ya.
So she watches the firing squad, and I think catches the eye of a boy who's pretty close to her own age. And you can tell that it really sticks with her. And she catches back up with Luthen, and he basically tells her that the fight that they're fighting is different than just we expose ourselves, we save these people, but we die.
Yeah.
Right.
Like they're thinking long term.
Right. He's like, we play the long game. And also, when I tell you to move, motherfucker, move. And they do this really great bit where he walks and he goes, move. It's like, damn, that's funny.
He has a line in here. I'm paraphrasing slightly. He's like, we're fighting to win. That means we lose and we lose and we lose and we lose until we can win.
Right. So Clea abandons Granny and makes it up to the sealed floor, and then starts killing stormtroopers.
Yes.
And like you start to see, Clea is an unmitigated absolute fucking tank. And and I love how the first guy,
she's a holy terror is how I would describe her.
Yeah. She's like got her like iPad with her gun behind it, and like the stormtrooper like tries to stop her, and she shoots him and just moves out of the way so he falls down the stairs.
Yeah.
And she like the entire time, not a single moment of hesitation or remorse. She just like turns into this killing machine. So she like almost gets, like she kills a couple of troopers. She almost gets to Luthen's door, which is like really heavily guarded. And then she realizes she needs a distraction. And so she pulls out another object from her bag. And then we get another flashback. Luthen and Claire are having this nice drink at a fancy restaurant. Yeah. Which, by the way, I thought this might have been Naboo, because it kind of looked like Space Italy, but it might be another place.
Maybe it was a different Space Italy.
Yeah. So in the distance is a bridge and they're like quite a ways away from it.
Yeah, with some stormtroopers and some
vehicle tanks and shit. Yeah. Luthen expresses some worry about what he's turning Clea into, and whether or not what she's doing pretty much is because it's something she wants to do, or if it's something she thinks he wants her to do. Yeah. And she says that she knows what she wants, and Luthen gives her a detonator. And at first
he puts it on the table and says, go ahead, press it.
And she thinks it's a test at first. She's like, what the fuck is this? Like, I'm going to press that fucking button, right?
She reaches out to press it, and he sandwiches his eyes like, no, you're like 13, and that is kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
But it's less fucked up for me to do it. And he presses the button.
Yeah. By the way, there's this really cool moment where she knows that the button's about to be pressed, and she looks to the bridge, and he's like,
no, look at me.
He's like, look at me, you fucking amateur. Like, this is spycraft school. Yeah. And they stare at each other. It blows up, and then he like has it timed out, and now look. And then she looks all surprised.
Yeah.
She's like, oh no, what happened? Yeah. So
I love the implication here that Luthen is not just sort of dragging her through all this mayhem and proto-rebellion, but he's actively teaching her, like, this is how you do something in public without drawing attention.
Right, yeah.
Like, he is teaching her spycraft.
So present-day Clea hits her device, and things outside start exploding.
Yes.
All over the fucking place. And it causes a big ruckus, and stormtroopers are running, and she's able to just walk right past them.
Yeah, because she's a nurse.
Yeah.
She's supposed to be there.
She kills the guard in front of Luthen's room, drags his ass, and gets into the room. And Luthen is obviously very seriously wounded.
He's comatose.
Yeah, and he's being kept alive by a respirator. And she shuts it off and walks over and gives him a kiss on the forehead. And Luthen dies right there in front of her. And the last shot of the episode is just Luthen on his bed, taking his final last couple of heartbeats with this amazing musical moment that at the end just kind of resolves. And it's just like, goddamn, dude. First of all, fucking Luthen Rael, like, Godspeed, hero of the fucking rebellion. And will many people sing his praises? Probably not. But he was like there between him and Clea, and his crew, like his Aldani crew and everything. Like, these guys started the fucking rebel. They were the rebels before being a rebel was cool, right?
This is a random thought that I had, I think, after watching these episodes. But, like, do you think Luthen knew about the temple on Yavin and told the rest of the rebels about it? Because, like, he's like a dealer in antiquities and ancient art, and those temples have been there for a very long time.
Well, they already knew about the Masasi temples on Yavin, and Dodonna already had a rebel cell there that was different from the morons that we see earlier in the show. So I'm not sure if he's the one that found it or not. But I like the idea that Cassian, like, ends up there and is like, oh, this might actually be kind of a good place to put everybody. Like, this is pretty good. I will say also that this was not the ending for Luthen that I wanted. But I'm going to tell you, because I'm a responsible fucking adult, when something happens in Star Wars that wasn't the way I imagined it, or wasn't like the fan fiction version of it that I created in my head before I saw it, I got the fuck over it. Because this is the version that exists. I wanted Luthen to go out in a blazing fucking fireball that was taking down Imperial Star Destroyers and shit. But that's not how he died. And the way they did it is better. It makes more sense for the narrative. And I got over it. So the next time you're thinking, oh, well, in X Star Wars, this thing didn't happen because I wrote a 100-page fanfic about what Luke Skywalker is going to do and blah, blah, blah. Like, you don't own Star Wars. It's not your job to write. In fact, most of you are real shit writers anyway. So fucking just enjoy the story when it's a good story.
I would argue that the way Luthen goes out is not only more in keeping with his character than any possible fan fiction you could come up with, but also shows how badass he is and how dedicated he is to the cause.
Without a hesitation.
Yes.
Was yeah.
Because, like, anybody can blow up Star Destroyers if you give them enough firepower.
Yeah.
Not everyone can realize that they are in an inescapable situation, that they will do terrible harm to their cause if they are forced to talk, and then take themselves out of the equation.
Yeah, it was pretty fucking baller.
It takes unbelievable self-discipline to do
that. So before we move on to the next episode, Ian says, did you spot Luthen's name in the flashback? Sergeant Lear. Lear is
Sergeant
real
Lear,
backwards. Yeah, I did notice that. He also spoke in a different language, assuming saying make it stop, which is how I understood that as well. Flying Squirrels with a Z. I just watched the last 4 episodes in a row, and they weren't bad at all. Then Dave, under duress, says, so much duality going on in this show. Flying Squirrel says maybe a little too much switching back and forth between characters. Well, it's kind of an ensemble cast though, so like they have to develop the characters. And Ian says the lady in the wheelchair is called Granny, and the subtitle's hilarious. And then Dave says, I love how instead of just shooting him or something, she unhooked him, allowing him to die the way he wanted. Yeah, no, that's yeah. All right, episode 11 called Who Else Knows. So a gay assistant guy, which by the way, I know this guy's name. I think
Hirt.
I just want everyone. I'm a gay man, and so I'm allowed to call people. I'm allowed to say this. Okay, we're calling this guy a gay assistant because I'm telling you, I have fairly good gaydar. So anyway, gay assistant guy investigates the hospital where Luthen died, and they are convinced an entire team.
They said at least 3 people.
Yeah, because of the scope and how many losses they took. They're like, they had a whole fucking army in here.
Yeah, they had bombs and...
Yeah. They are also very happy to pin all of this on Dedra.
Yes.
Gay assistant guy's like
this
it's
was
Dedra's fault.
security plan. Yeah. Dedra was in charge to set all this up.
Yeah.
I had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Which is like rule number 1 of bureaucratic infighting.
Throw someone else under the bus.
Whenever anything goes wrong, cover your ass.
Yeah. He throws Dedra right under the fucking bus. By the way, hey, what's up, Jimmy? What's up, Chris? I'll read your comments here when we're done with this episode. So speaking of Dedra, she's waiting in an interrogation room at the ISB.
The same one that she talks to Cyril.
She meets Cyril for the first time. Yeah. She has a special visitor who is Director Krennic. And he is pretty pissed in general about how everything is going down.
It's always good to see Ben Mendelsohn chew the scenery.
Yes. You know, we'll talk about this later. Not at all related, other than through Ben Mendelsohn. But so he's convinced that maybe Dedra is a spy, and is pretty worried about.
He's like, "Look, you did this so terribly that either you are a total incompetent or you are a rebel spy." And at this point, I'm not sure which one would do more damage to us. So let's just assume you're a rebel spy.
Yeah, he is also very worried about who knows about his little project. And
who else? He says, "Who else knows?" She's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" He's like, "What could possibly have summoned me from my important business halfway across the galaxy to come to this miserable little basement and talk to you, dumb fuck?" Say the fucking words.
He makes her say it, and she says, fucking Death Star. And it's like, don't you mean Justice Star? a little deep cut to some of our earlier content. You guys should go check out. We did a Star Wars What If, where Yoda hijacks the Death Star. It's based on the Star Wars Infinities. Go check it out. So we find out that Dedra has been reading into the secret files for a while now.
She accidentally got clearance for something, and rather than report it, she just kind of
started reading.
Kept reading.
Which, to be fair, is exactly what I do. Because I'm nosy as fuck.
I mean, that's exactly what happened to our dumb fuck Secretary of Defense.
Right, yeah, right.
He accidentally included a journalist in his secret war council.
His signal, yeah. So, also... apparently they find out that Young was able to get her like certificate, like her like passcodes and shit.
Well, then why were you up last night reading all this shit for 3 hours? And she's like, well, I wasn't reading that. It must have been someone else.
Right. And she starts to realize that she might be in huge trouble. And Krennic says to her, if you're not a rebel spy, you missed your calling. And it's like, damn, dude, you went straight for the throat. Outside, so Krennic leaves out, and then Dedra watches Krennic get the news that Luthen's dead, and she doesn't need to hear what's being said, like she understands what's happening. So gay assistant visits the security camera guy. In
the middle of all this, like we kind of glossed over it, but Ben Mendelsohn does a bit of acting, like he puts a finger on top of her head.
Yeah, she's like, thunk.
And she's just like, this is really weird.
Yeah, and then also when he does that, the music changes because she realizes that like this isn't something she can just explain.
Yeah,
like she realizes that Krennic thinks she's the enemy now, and that is a huge problem, right? And like the music changes, and it's really great, really good visual.
Dedra has found out in real time that you can work for a fascist system, but the fascist system will never care about you.
Yeah,
you are disposable.
Yep. Yeah, you're a cog. Yeah. So gay assistant guy visits the security camera guy, and they get a good look at Clea and realize that she was the only person involved in this attack. And they're like, how?
What the fuck?
And they're like, I don't know, dude. She had like 10 slap charges. She came through here, killed a bunch of dudes. It was just her. And he's like, motherfucker. Can we still just say it was an army? Because if they find out it was just one rando, like what the fuck, man?
I mean, technically not a rando. I think they have her pinned as Luthen's assistant right away.
Yeah. So at the rebel Airbnb, Clea hammers into one of the walls of the apartment, and she's clearly trying to get something that's like hidden. And she pulls out this like old 2-piece radio that she like shoves together and starts pulling parts out of and
then starts tapping Morse code into it.
Like it's like old school fucking On Yavin 4, by the way, the rebel base on Yavin 4 is looking a lot closer to how we remember it in episode 4.
It has grown considerably in the past year or so.
Will's girlfriend found something, so she's like, "Oh, I found something vibrating under your bed," and then John and I looked at each other, we're like, "Dildo." It's a dildo. And she pulled this box out from under his bed, and it's like this radio receiver, and Will immediately springs into action.
Oh my fucking god!
Yeah, like you can tell, like this is
the last ditch resort.
Yeah,
like if they can't use the good radio in the shop, this is what Luthen set up.
Right, which is a huge problem. At Cassian's yurt, Cassian, Melshi, and K2SO are playing cards
and drinking
and getting a little drunk, and it's fucking hysterical. Because K2SO is still trying to understand humans a little bit.
He's very logical. Like he understands the rules of the game. But you can tell he's a poker player who doesn't understand bluffing
or people. Yeah, and he's just like, what the fuck is happening? And it's so funny. There's some physical comedy here too, because he's so big. And he's trying to fit into this chair, and he towers over everyone, but he's like trying
higher than the table.
Right, and he's like trying to like hide his cards and shit. It is the funny, and like Alan Tudyk is such a fucking genius, and it's so cool to have him back as K2SO.
In that Andor Declassified, they show him like in the mocap suit with like these stilts that he walks around on. It's ridiculous.
Will shows up with the radio, and they you can tell something is wrong. A gay assistant guy meets with Partagaz and Krennic with Clea's picture, and they're putting every resource they can get into finding her. Partagaz has this really good idea to make her an escaped patient from the hospital with a contagious disease.
I love how this goes. Like Partagaz asks here, okay, like we need to get this out. How far and wide can you get it? And here it's like, well, how far do we need to go? Like how much
penetration?
How much market penetration do we need here? And
Krennic's like, all of it?
Yes. You're going to put this on every planet, in every city, in every fucking cantina, everywhere in the Empire until she is found.
Yeah. Krennic makes a comment about to Partagaz about the ISB's death march, which I think it's
like if you fail, you are.
This is the end
out.
of the ISB, right? Yeah. Well, I don't think you're out. I think because I don't think Krennic thinks very highly of the ISB, because he's like doing his own thing, right?
Yeah.
And you can tell by how Partagaz is acting in general that he's starting to feel the pressure of what's happening around him. He knows that at the very least his job is in danger, if not his life, and like the whole division, right?
Yeah, because he oversaw this debacle.
Right. After gay assistant guy leaves, Krennic says, Leo, I can't protect you, which we find out Partagaz's first name is Leo. Partagaz says, you were supposed to be ready by, talking about the Death Star. You were supposed to be ready by now. It's a miracle we've kept it quiet for this long. And Krennic's like, motherfucker, we are like days away. And Partagaz says, save the sermon for Palpatine. And then
again, bureaucrats covering their own asses.
Right. And Krennic's like,
fair enough.
Fair. Yep.
Yeah.
And then he says, best of luck to us both. And he gives Partagaz this sad, knowing smile, and then he leaves. Cassian's group, they're trying to figure out what to do about this radio thing. Because on one hand, it could be the apocalypse, but on the other hand, it could be an equipment malfunction. It could be like the batteries aren't working right or something, right?
Well, it's like, no, I checked it. Like, everything is working.
Right. They also can't message it back. because they don't want it to get traced.
Yeah.
So they start to think maybe like, okay, maybe the equipment's faulty, but then another message comes through, and everyone jumps like when it comes through, and it's a message that like it doesn't make any sense to K2SO because it's like this random message that Cassian and Will have had to have memorized.
Yeah, but they memorized that like it's not the letters or words or anything. It's just like the existence of this message means we need help. Come get us.
Yeah. Cassian immediately orders Will to fire up the U-wing and to get them a test flight clearance. And then Cassian, Melshi, and K2SO plan to leave Coruscant for Coruscant. The rebel general Draven learns about them leaving and is pissed. And they ignore all the orders to come back, and they jump into hyperspace. And there's this really funny bit with K2SO, who is like, I've counted the number of times you've ignored orders. And he's like, turn the fucking radio off. And he's like, well, that's 18. And he like turns it off.
Like, I've counted. Would you like to know how many? And he's like, turn the radio off. 18.
Yeah, 18. There we go. So Dedra is in a cell and is approached by gay assistant. And he's like, okay, hi. Look. And she's like, what the fuck are you doing here? He's like, okay, I am here for advice.
Like, I know we've had our differences lately.
Yeah.
But
also,
you know like everything there is to know about Axis, and I could really use some advice.
Also, girl, did I tell you
your hair looks great today?
You look good in a prison cell. You're looking great.
Also, nice touch. Dedra actually has all the insignia stripped off her uniform in this scene.
Yeah.
And like her collar's loosened, and when she hears someone coming, she tries to, button it back up, and then she sees who it is, and she just doesn't bother.
Yeah. She throws him a bone and mentions, she's like, so when I was doing this Axis thing, they had this old radio on Ferrix. Anton Krieger had a radio. There's like we recovered a radio on Gorman or whatever.
Like they're real fascinated with radios. Yeah. So I would start there.
Yeah. So go and like we have old logs and pulse codes and shit. So go and check that out. It might lead you somewhere, but honestly, it's probably too late. And so he's like, oh, great. Thanks.
Cool.
Yeah. Bye.
Enjoy prison.
Yep. So Will tells General Draven where they're going. So he's like, okay, so they're going to Coruscant. And Draven's like, why? Like, you know how precarious our position on Yavin 4 is. Are you fucking insane? And Will tells Draven, he's like, the signal that came in was a final call, and like we have to go help Luthen, and like, by the way, without Luthen, none of this shit would ever have happened. So maybe you calm the fuck down. And he's like, you know what? No, you're confined to quarters. So they throw Melshi into room prison. Gay assistant goes back to the shop where the radio tech is waiting, and she tells them, she's like, okay, the radio's pretty fucked up, but like the transmitter and the receiver are still intact. So I don't know.
It's really cool, actually. They tied into the transmit tower next door. So like they were using Imperial signals to send all their Rebel signals.
Yeah,
it's really
these
clever.
Guys are fucking great. I'd like to meet them, by the way. I think this is really neat.
And here it is like, we don't work for the Rebels.
Yeah, we're not. Can you give me some information? She's like, well, to be honest with you, no, but I'm going to stick around just in case it starts to blink out of nowhere.
And then all of a sudden...
Yeah, well, hold on. So the group arrives on Coruscant, like Melshi and Cassian and K2SO. When they're in orbit, K2SO mentioned... Because Melshi has never been to Coruscant before, and K2SO is like, I've been to Coruscant. In fact, I was in a parade with 200 other KX droids. Oh, and the Emperor was there. And Cassian's like, we've heard this story before. Jesus,
that's great. I really wish I was there to see it, K2.
Yeah. So Cassian sends a reply to Clea once they're landed. And the Imperials at the workshop, right as she's like, oh, all we can do is sit around and hope for them to send a thing. Like the thing starts blinking. She's like, oh, holy shit, that worked. Yeah.
Neat.
So gay assistant calls Partagaz. And Partagaz is like, put a tactical team together.
Fucking
go get her. Yeah.
Right now.
And Partagaz goes into the control room, and like the second his assistant has like the computer screen, and she's like, okay, these are all the bio feeds of all the tactical guys. You're like, oh, those are all going red at some point. I guarantee it. Yeah. So this thing has to work. Otherwise, Partagaz knows that he's fucked. Right. So he is very... Before, it was never Partagas down in the control room. It was always some other supervisor. The director of the ISB is down here, and his life and or career hinges on this one thing. So Cassian lands, and the Imperials are en route. K2SO is ordered to stay on the ship. So Cassian and Melshi go up to the apartment.
Put in their little Bluetooths and head inside.
Right. They go up to the apartment, but K2SO realizes that the transmissions are now being jammed, and there's an arriving Imperial SWAT team that Cassian doesn't know about. And K2SO is like, oh no.
Oh no.
Oh God, what do I do? My friends.
Wait a minute. I'm a giant murder droid.
I am terrifying, yeah. So Cassian knocks at the apartment door, and then he says, Luthen, it's me, Cassian. And you can tell Clea opens the door, and you can tell by he can tell by the look on her face that something has gone pretty wrong. And gay assistant guy gets a more precise lock on where the radio is.
Yeah. So he has his little sensor thingy, and he narrows it down to okay, they're roughly that area, one of those
over there.
So let's go search.
Right.
And they knock on a door and burst into this apartment of this middle-aged couple.
Yeah, they're just
okay, clearly not here, but my sensor says it's directly above us,
right upstairs.
So let's go up the next floor.
So Clea tells Cassian about Luthen and what Luthen told her. And to be fair, Clea is coming off a little crazy.
She is under a lot of stress right now.
She probably hasn't slept in a while. Her hair's kind of all astray and shit. But Cassian seems Cassian's
like, okay, I know Luthen, if he's dead, if he's gone to the Backstreet Boys reunion tour, and he told you this, it's real shit.
Yes.
So we need to go tell the rebels.
We have to go to Yavin. And she's like, I don't want to go to Yavin. They fucking hate me there. They hate Luthen there. Those guys suck. So the Imperial SWAT team gets to the floor that they're on, right? And then Partagas is listening to all the ops chatter, and an Imperial calls in and says, hey guys, did we order an enforcement droid? And you're like, oh shit, oh no. So K2SO approaches an Imperial who's holding the perimeter, and the Imperial says, are you with us? And he says no, and he just kicks his ass right over the platform,
slaps him over the side of the bridge.
And K2SO reaches the shuttle where the jamming is happening, and then more Imperials start dying.
Yes.
It's fucking glorious. Cassian's still trying to convince Clea to come with. She's still not sure, and the episode ends with the SWAT team on the floor,
walking down the hallway.
Right. So the series finale, the title of which is Jedha, Kyber, Urso, which fucking great title for your series finale. Cassian convinces Clea to come with.
Yeah, you're gonna.
So we're gonna take a quick break. While we're doing this, Chris is gonna.
I will do my best.
Yeah, gonna answer some.
Comments are very small.
Some comments, real quick, and then we're gonna start at the beginning of this. Wow, you really read that, didn't you?
So, So, I think. In answer to your comment, Chris, I think Bail Organa doesn't trust Luthen all that much, and he kind of sees Cassian as sort of an extension of Luthen at this point, and so that kind of transfers, and he doesn't really trust Cassian, which we'll talk about it more when we get there in the episode, but the rebels on Yavin don't really like Luthen.
To be fair, Cassian gives Bail very little reason to trust him.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, since we're in between episodes, let me read a few more of these. Clea is a badass, but what happened to her after the show? We don't know yet. Flying Squirrels says, love the fact that every time Hurt, a major character is mentioned, you just call the gay assistant. Boomhauer says, has anyone seen any other work Has anyone seen any other work that the actress who plays Deidre has performed? I don't think I have.
I don't think so.
She was so amazing as a character that I want to see her doing more. She is a brilliant actor. Flying Squirrel says, I was a bit confused about how since the ISB has so much power, they couldn't get more people in the mission.
So
someone answered him and said the ISB had people searching in other places because everyone was out looking for
it was all points. They had deployed everyone everywhere, and this was the only team that they could pull in.
Yeah. I thought that Director Paragaz tried to call for more reinforcements, so they said they can't get anyone. Yeah, that's more or less what happens. And I think you answered Chris's. Okay. So series finale called Jeddah, Kyber, and Ursa, which I have already said is a brilliant title for a brilliant episode. Cassian convinces Clea. She's like, okay, Yavin.
All right, fine, let's go.
You know what? Compared to death,
I hear Yavin is lovely this time of year.
You know what? Let's fucking go. The ISB control room is losing their shit because
they're losing guys.
They are those little biofeeds are going red, and they can't tell the SWAT team. So the SWAT team has no idea that there's a crazed murder droid coming up right behind them.
K2SO is not crazed.
He is right now in this moment. He's crazed. He's doing crazy shit. So the SWAT team approaches down the hallway. And like the lead guy turns to gay assistant and is like, so if you want to go hide behind a wall, now's the time. He's like, I thought you'd never ask. And he runs and hides, right? Melshi just walks out, and it's the funniest shit because he's like, okay, well, let's go. Yeah. And he walks out, and they're like, freeze. And he's like, oh, shit.
Hi.
And they're like, put your hands up. And he's like, no. And
runs back
away. Yeah.
He's like, okay, bad news. The Imperials are here.
What's the good news?
There is no good news.
There might not be any good news. So Cassian, Clea, and Melshi all have their guns trained on the open door. Cassian doesn't want him to close the door because he's like, we'll be trapped in here. And he's like, dude, we're already trapped in here. Like, what the fuck?
I don't know.
Yeah, he's like, hey, come on now. I know what I'm doing. A couple of other Imperials meet K2SO, and it does not go well for them.
Mm-hmm. K2 just walks in and slaps the shit out of them.
The SWAT team throws in a stunner, and so I think Clea takes most of the blast and sustains
she
a head
takes
injury.
The worst of it. Like it knocks her against the wall and she hurts her head.
Yeah. And a gunfight breaks out, and the group is in trouble.
Yes.
Right.
That they are cornered.
Yeah.
The only thing that's helping them right now is that the Imperials are under orders to take Clea alive.
Right. From the dark, behind the SWAT team, a KX droid can be heard approaching.
Clank, clank,
and
clank.
Picks up gay assistant guy and just uses him as a human shield. Yeah. And it is, good God, it's so
horrifying.
Fucked up. It is, because their flashlights are on him and he's just hanging there dead and shit. It is, it's dark for Star Wars. Like, God damn. The rest of the imps are killed. Like the last guy is thrown up against the wall and shit. And then there's a couple of other seconds of suspense where they hear the footsteps, and then K2SO shows up in the doorway and says, "Cassian, I've cleared a path."
Thanks, K2SO.
It is this moment where Partagaz knows that he's cooked.
Mm-hmm. He is completely and utterly fucked.
Yeah. So the group, like Cassian, Melshi, K2SO, and an unconscious Clea escape on their U-Wing. Mm-hmm. Saw and Mon Mothma are having a phone call back on Yavin 4, and they're arguing about their different approaches. Yes. And Mon is like,
dude, we know you need to chill.
Yeah.
Like, you're drawing way too much heat on yourself. Yeah. You are going to get fucking obliterated.
Yes. We know you're on Jeddah, bro. Mm-hmm. We know you're picking off Imperial transports. It's making everyone's jobs harder. Calm the fuck down. He's like, I'm totally not on Jeddah. He's like, yes, you are. And he's like, who's Jeddah? Never heard of her. And she's like, fucking Saw.
Like, we're trying to help you here. Like, we're trying to do what's best for you.
And then he just hangs up on her. Yeah. She's like, God damn it.
Which, like, Saw's issue with all the other rebels from the beginning is you're not willing to blow enough shit up.
Yeah.
I'm the only one willing to make big enough explosions to, like, make a difference here.
Have you tried huffing rhodinium?
Yeah, just like inhale some jet fuel to make you feel much better.
Yeah, killing Imperials after that is actually quite pleasant.
Yes.
So Saw hangs up on her. Draven, Bail, and Mon all kind of talk, and Bail's like, "God, that man is insane." And he's like, "We're sure he's on Jeddah," and they're like, "Yes, like
100%.
Yeah, everyone knows he's on Jeddah. I'm pretty sure the Imperials know he's on Jeddah.
That's why they parked a Star Destroyer over it.
He is not really hiding anymore." So a rebel officer skids in. He's like, Cassian's ship is coming in hot. He's unauthorized, and he's asking to land. And Draven's like, fuck.
This fucking guy.
So Bail is like, is that Andor in a stolen ship coming back from an unauthorized mission? And Draven's like,
yes, and yes.
It appears so. And Bail's like, and why haven't we killed him yet? And Draven's like, that's a question I ask myself every day.
Actually kind of really good at his job.
So Mon turns to Bail and says, makes the Senate look easy, doesn't it? And Bail's like, God, you're right. Next scene, we get to see General Radis, which is really cool. He's a character from Rogue One. Another one of the long spoilers for Rogue One, a long list of sacrifices that makes the destruction of the first Death Star possible. He's in the control room. He's handing out orders and shit, and he turns to Draven, and he's like, "You're lucky Merrick isn't here, by the way. He'd go shoot his ass down right now." Yeah. Merrick, by the way, is the mustached dude from Rogue One who is a blue leader, who also... Okay, you all know that, everyone dies in Rogue One.
Yes.
Pretty much everyone dies.
Pretty much everyone except Leia.
Yeah.
And Tarkin, I guess.
So, the X-Wing alert fighters on Yavin 4 intercept Cassian.
And they're like, okay... Listen up, fuckhead.
Yeah.
You are going to go exactly where we tell you and land very, very gently.
Yeah. Or we'll shoot you down.
Yes.
So they land. There's an entire army waiting for them with blasters and shit. Cassian explains, he's like, hey,
look, I have really important information, and also she had a concussion. Can you get her to the infirmary, please?
Right.
And nobody let her lose consciousness because that's really bad if you have a concussion.
Right, yeah. Don't take a nap. You might never wake up. Cassian meets with rebel leadership and tells them what he heard from Clea. And
energy program's a lie. Gorman was just to mine for minerals.
False flag. Yeah.
Jeddah, Kyber crystals, Galen Ursa.
Yeah.
Super weapon.
He also reports Luthen's death, which Mon Mothma has a visible reaction to.
Yeah, because that is one of the few reasons that Mon Mothma is still alive.
The only
Luthen
reason
got her out.
He saved her with he was the one that had Cassian get her. He saved her life. Most of them are very skeptical.
Everyone else in this room fucking hates Luthen's guts.
Yes.
They think he's paranoid.
To be fair, Mon Mothma doesn't necessarily disagree with him either, but she owes him her life, right?
Yeah.
So most of them are really skeptical, mostly because they all hate Luthen.
Yeah.
So Mon Mothma, Draven, and Bail are the only ones that seem like they're kind of maybe receptive to it. And Cassian sticks up for Luthen. He says, do any of you know how much you guys owe Luthen? None of this shit around here exists without him.
He's the reason that this base exists.
Right.
He's the reason there's a rebellion.
Right.
And he died to get you this information.
Right.
Luthen didn't fuck around.
Right. Bail points out that maybe this is an Imperial trap because it would be a good way to do it. And they plan to follow up tomorrow night when Dodonna and Merrick are back, right? So it's you can see that there's a little bit of bureaucracy in the rebellion as well. But it's a democratic institution.
Yes.
So they don't
one of the leaders says we don't have quorum, so we can't make any decisions.
Right. If this were the Empire, they'd be making some stupid decision right off the bat. Cassian goes to visit Clea.
Cassian gets confined to quarters, and on his way out, he says, permission to visit the infirmary, and before anyone else can speak, Mon Mothma says, absolutely.
Yes, I'm just tired of arguing with you. Just go.
Well, she's not tired of arguing with him. She wants to help him.
Yeah. Cassian goes to visit Clea, and Draven walks him out, and he's like, so your contact with Saw Gerrera, this guy named Tivik, he keeps calling us from Kafrene. What the fuck is this about? And he's like, I don't know. I haven't talked to him in a while. Which, by the way... Every Star Wars nerd knows that our very first introduction to Cassian Andor is on the Ring of Kafrene, which is really cool.
Where Cassian gets some information from this guy and then murks him.
Tivik doesn't make it, by the way.
When we said everyone dies in Rogue One,
everyone
we
dies.
meant everyone dies.
Yeah. Cassian visits Clea, and he's like, look, I'm doing everything I can. You're it's a lot for them to take in, what you told me, and so we're working through it, right? So Mon Mothma visits her cousin Vel, and asks her, she's like, look, I need you to spy on Cassian and figure out what this,
Yes.
like, if this shit is, like, legit.
We need to know if this is for real, because if it is, like, we need to act on it, and if it's not, we can't get sucked into any traps.
Right. Cassian breaks the news to Will that Luthen's dead, and it's this really sad moment, and they embrace each other, and you can tell Luthen was not an
Luthen was a son of a bitch, but he was their son of a bitch.
Yeah, he was a hard person to have any kind of relationship with because of how unyielding he was, and also how secretive and how much of a moral void he was. But they knew that he was on the right side and that he was doing it for the right people. And, you know, you don't work with a man like that without coming to respect him a whole bunch. And Cassian and Will were like the two guys left that were like Luthen's guys, right?
Yeah.
So he was also their entry point to the rebellion. And there are very few people alive now who know how much Luthen actually contributed to the rebellion. So Tivik keeps calling and will only speak to Cassian, and Draven's like, fuck, okay, fine, hold on, stay on the line, I'll go get Cassian. Vel visits Cassian, and they drink to Luthen, and there's this really sad moment where Vel toasts to all of their dead friends, and she mentions Gorn and Nemik and Terramin, but not Skeen because he was a son of a bitch.
Cassian mentions
Cinta, and then she says the Gormans, Ferrix, and Marva, his mother, the Donnies. They both toast their Aldani mission, which was the thing that kind of like that was Cassian in the rebellion for the first time. And it's one of those moments where you're like, this show has been a ride, dude. Like, that Aldani mission, that episode was so fucking brilliant, and it made me want to go back and watch it again. Cassian mentions that he hears people claim that they were there at Aldani, and because they're the only surviving members of that operation. And if Vel she's like, if I ever hear anyone say that, I'll fucking kill them. I swear to God. And so they have a nice drink together, and she's like, so Mon Mothma sent me here to spy on you and figure out what the fuck this intelligence is, and
he's
if
like,
it's real.
It is real.
Yeah.
Like I swear on anything you want me to swear on, it is real.
Luthen, this is what Luthen died for. This is, like, we knew he was willing to die for the rebellion. This was the thing he died for. And she's like, all right, well, tell me what he said. Clea unhooks all her med shit and starts wandering around out of sick bay. And then we hear a voiceover from Nemik's manifesto, and I'm going to read some of it because it's some of my favorite shit in this whole show. There will be times when the struggle becomes impossible. I know this already. Alone, unsure, dwarfed by the scale of the enemy. Remember this. Freedom is a pure idea. It occurs spontaneously and without instruction. Random acts of insurrection are occurring constantly throughout the galaxy. There are whole armies, battalions that have no idea that they've already enlisted in the cause. Remember that the frontier of the rebellion is everywhere, and even the smallest act of insurrection pushes our line forward. And then remember this. The Imperial need for control is so desperate because it is so unnatural. Tyranny requires constant effort. It breaks and it leaks. Authority is brittle. Oppression is the mask of fear. And it's revealed that we're hearing this because Partagaz is listening to the manifesto in his like room. And Nemik's writing has gotten out to the populace,
it has been spread far and wide.
Which was to Nemik would have been job done.
Yep.
Right. And
like he might not have been the best fighter, but dude could write a fucking grad school thesis.
He was the rebellion's philosopher. I mean, he was their philosopher. And another ISB soup comes in and kind of interrupts him, and Partagaz is like, Who do you think fucking wrote this? And he's like, dude, I don't know. But
some rebel.
Yeah. They are waiting for you downstairs. And Partagaz is clearly defeated. And
he's like, may I have a moment to compose my thoughts?
I would like to think about this. And
the guy says, sure.
He gives him a knowing nod. And when Partagaz is alone, he pulls out a D44. And then outside.
We cut to outside where it's the supervisor standing there with two stormtroopers. and you hear a blaster shot go off, and both stormtroopers kind of twitch, and he's just like,
yeah, he knew. He knew what was going to happen, and he's like, guys, calm down. Which, this is what happens when you are a part of a fascist regime.
You will get crushed underneath. Like
the monster that screams the loudest will come for you. It doesn't matter what part you play. If you work for them, if you suck up to them, that monster, it is a fact of the universe. That monster comes for you one day.
One day you are driving the tank and crushing other people. So the next day you are getting crushed by that same tank.
So Vel tells Cassian, she's like, hey, you should go see Bix, by the way. And he's like, well,
I mean, she left so that I would be here and keep fighting. Like,
and also she's not safe around me, and it's a little too late.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, it's not. And he's like, okay, well, I'll visit her when everything calms down, which everyone's like, no, Cassian, go see her right now. Yeah. And then Vel tells him, don't wait too long. So Clea is wandering.
The heart.
Yeah. There's a rainstorm happening on Yavin, and Clea is just wandering around in the rain.
And Vel's like, Vel comes up to her and is like, holy shit, like, you need to get inside here.
Yeah.
Borrow my coat. Let's get you back.
So they talk, and Vel says that she's sorry about Luthen, and then she says, I have friends everywhere. You're here with friends. And it seems to placate Clea a little bit, because she seems really lost about what...
Well, Clea has kind of lost her... I wouldn't say she's lost her purpose in life, but, like, she and Luthen were so much of a matched set, working together to a common purpose, that I think without Luthen to drive them forward, she's kind of looking for whatever's next.
Yeah, right. So Melchian and K2SO were released from whatever confinement they were in and sent to Cassian's hut, and Draven is outside waiting to talk to him and says, well, we talked to Tivik. He's only going to meet with you, so...
you need to go fucking talk to him and figure out what's going on.
Yeah, so we're going to send you to go talk to him on Kafrene. And Draven's also like, look, all of this, like Jeddah and the Kyber, the ISB mole, Luthen dying, like now Tivik is calling us. If this is a trap, it is a brilliant way to spring it, because I got to tell you, man, my spidey senses are going off, and I think there might actually be something going on. And then Draven grabs Mon Mothma, and they approach Bail, and they're like, you need to hear us out. Like, we think this might be real. So Cassian dreams about his little sister on whatever planet that was.
Yeah.
And he's woken up by K2SO, who says, waking up humans is always confusing. And then he says, the man you don't like is here.
And Cassian's like, that could be many men.
That's actually a lot of guys, yeah.
You have to be a little more specific.
And it's Bail Organa hanging out in his doorway. And he's like, yeah, I need you to go to Kafrene. I've been convinced that maybe something might be going on. And he says, what changed your mind? And Bail Organa says, if I die fighting the Empire, I want to go down swinging. And this is another moment for fans where you're like, you do, dude. Like, just in a couple of days. It's insane how many of these heartstrings that they've discovered to pluck for us, you know. So Cassian's like, you know what? You and Luthen would have gotten along way better than you think. And Bail says, may the Force be with you. And he leaves. So Cassian gets dressed in the outfit that we see him in Rogue One. The theme music starts, and he waters his plants.
There's a neat little detail in Andor Declassified where the composer talks about how at the beginning of the season they used more electronic music and made a conscious decision towards the end of it to be working more orchestral stuff, so that when you get done with episode 12 and then go watch Rogue One, like the soundscape has shifted all the way to that orchestral mode.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. So they do a little montage. Melchi is leading a group of soldiers on a run through the forest. We see Will and his girlfriend, and Mon Mothma's eating with Vel. Perrin is on Coruscant with some.
I had completely fucking forgot about Perrin, but like he's found a new squeeze.
Yeah, Perrin's on Coruscant with some other woman in a bottle of liquor.
Like,
he doesn't look that happy.
He doesn't.
Yeah, he looks pretty miserable. Actually,
he looks like he's somewhat landed on his feet.
Yeah, basically nothing has changed for Perrin.
Yeah,
you know, Dedra is in prison. The
exact same prison making Death Star parts.
Yeah. At the base, Cassian passes that Force healer from the previous episode, who is now watching him sadly. You can see behind her eyes, she knows something that she's not saying, and he kind of nods to her, and she just kind of sadly smiles at him.
Or maybe she knows something that she doesn't understand.
Yeah,
if that makes
which
sense.
is probably actually more accurate.
Yeah, because like she was very vague about what she told.
Well,
Cassian
I don't think her connection to the Force is.
Yeah,
like,
I don't
crazy.
think she's either not very strong, not very trained, or both.
Yeah. Saw Gerrera looking fucking epic with his big fucking beard and shit. He looks at the Star Destroyer from his base on Jeddah. Krennic watches the Death Star being constructed. And Cassian gets on the U-Wing, and he and K2SO set a course for Kafrane. And then on Rebel Moon, where we last saw B2 is happily playing tag with another droid, which thank God.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank fuck, at least somebody got a happy ending out of this show.
Bix walks through the wheat field with an infant and stares out into the distance. And that is where this perfect series has its perfect end. Fucking Bix about to get some terrible news in a couple of days.
Yeah.
But still, everyone still has this sense of hope, right?
I really like that last scene, both because it's a representation of what Cassian's about to lose, but also it's a representation of what the entire rebellion is fighting for.
Right.
Like, they're all fighting so that everyone can go home and live in freedom with their loved ones.
Yeah. By the way,
which sounds incredibly fucking sappy, but like I don't know how to explain it better than that.
I thought you explained it fine. Huh. By the way, this kid is not Poe Dameron. You dumbasses.
Why did anyone?
I don't know.
We know how Poe Dameron's parents get together. That they're both rebels, and they get together and celebrate after the Battle of Endor, and they fuck. And that's where Poe comes from.
Also, Poe's mother goes on a mission with Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker goes to one of the Emperor's observatories, and he's like, "Okay, this place is pretty heavily guarded. Stay here with the ship, and wait for me to come back. Keep the engines hot. We might have to make a quick run away from here." And so she's like, "Okay," and she's like sitting outside the ship, and she looks up. Luke Skywalker is sprinting toward her with a tree under one hand, like a planted tree. And he's like, "Let's go!" And they get on the ship and they fly off. Those are Poe's parents. Poe's parents were extraordinarily close with Leia. They were very good friends. It is one of the reasons why that relationship between Poe and Leia exists in the sequel trilogy.
The fact that she feels close enough to him, she can just haul off and slap him and say you're demoted.
Right. Yeah. So like this wasn't Poe. Cassian and Bix aren't Poe's parents. Like we know who they are. Stop it. And then stop with your Clea is Leia fucking theories. No, she's not.
See, for a tiny brief second, I thought
the kid is Snoke.
I thought Clea might be Cassian's sister, just because like the young
Clea
looks sort of like it.
Yeah,
but,
she's dark haired.
But I looked up on IMDb and it's different actors.
Yeah, bullshit. So let's get through some of these, and we're gonna talk about the Last of Us a little bit. K2 is so OP. I know it would have been a great character.
Why does the Empire not have more KX droids?
Well, they have they have 200 of them.
Like what? Yeah, but why are they fucking around with stormtroopers and shit? Just get more KX droids.
They're probably really expensive, I bet.
I would assume so. Like I can headcanon it as they're invulnerable to blasters because they have really expensive armor or something, but I don't know.
Honestly, I would have liked to have seen them be more grateful on Yavin, but it's fine. I think that's part of the tragedy of Luthen is that he did all this shit knowing people would not see him as a hero.
He's so hardcore about it that he even repels people that are on his side.
Right. Yeah. It's crazy how he and Saw are like kind of similar in that way, you know. They didn't have a ship to escape on its Scarif. It was blown up. You're probably answering someone else. But by the way, there was a treatment of Rogue One where Jyn Erso and Cassian survived, but they obviously didn't do that. Dave, Under Duress. Anyone else about to watch Rogue One again? I think we're watching it this weekend. I did Rogue One straight away after Andor. Epic. Flan Squirrel says,
we need to do a Rogue One watch along at some point.
Yeah, I know.
Probably as soon as Last of Us gets done.
Yeah, our friend April pointed that out during our Battlefront stream last night, that we haven't done that yet. Whenever Daniel speaks, it's like, this is where the fuck begins.
I don't know what that means, but it's probably accurate.
I have to tell you, my dad's side of the family is very Australian, and I was never not allowed to curse as a kid, and my dad tells this joke that, and I'm not sure if it's true, but it's a joke he tells, that my first word was Jedi, and my first spoken word was Jedi, and my second was cunt.
How very Australian of you.
Sorry. Ian says, Clea's life was upended. She was adjusting to the shock like Cyril and Gorman, wandering aimlessly for a while. Parent having a drunken affair with Davy's wife, his daughter's mother-in-law.
Oh yeah.
Is that who that was?
I didn't recognize who it was, but I didn't look very closely. I kind of assumed it might just be one of the Chandrillan ladies that was at the wedding.
Yeah. He's probably gone through all of them, honestly. He's got a top knot. I'm sure they're really into that. No, the kid is Snoke. That's my favorite comment tonight, by the way. Did you listen to the final credits music? Yes, they transitioned to the Star Wars main theme at the end, which was really cool. Poe is just into Doms. That's all. Oh, because of Leia. Yeah. They're expensive. If only the Empire had millions of slaves and didn't care about hurting anyone. Rip Cyril. No.
No.
Cyril
got what he fucking deserved.
Bad.
Like, Cyril was a fucking bootlicker.
When you lick the boots of fascists, it doesn't matter if you, at the end, come to your senses. You are responsible. And he got what he fucking deserved. Just like
Dedra.
It's easy to feel sorry for her at the end. But this was a bed you made, and it was a bed you made on the bodies of thousands of dead people. Like, this is what you deserve, and you deserve worse. All right.
Last of Us time.
Oh, right. This is always whiplash for me. Because, like, we talk about Star Wars, and then all of a sudden we have to talk about something way less spacey.
Yeah.
So, this is Last of Us Season 2, Episode 5.
We just going right into spoilers? I don't think there's anything to really...
Spoiler-free wise, like, there's not much I can say without spoiling, because there's a big thing at the end of this episode that happens in the game that I think was brilliantly acted by... I get that a lot of people are, like, pissed off at Bella Ramsey for looking a different way than they want her to look, which is not really her problem. Yeah. And if your main problem with an actor is that they're non-binary, just fuck off, because like that's not a valid opinion. Yeah. Sorry, but I think she does a really good job, and I think I might be attracted to Isabella Merced.
Okay, that's fair.
Like in a non-gay way. Yeah. Because
I mean, the Kinsey scale is a thing.
I know.
Sexuality is not binary.
Every time I see her on screen, I'm like, woo, okay.
She's pretty.
She's a very pretty girl. Yeah. Okay, anyway. We're zombies. That's pretty much it.
Yes. Okay. So we open in a flashback.
Hanrahan is walking through the hospital.
That's her name.
Yeah, is walking through the hospital. And
there's fucking militants everywhere.
Yeah. There are a couple of doors that are welded shut.
Yes, welded shut, like have metal braced against them.
Did the gay assistant deserve it? Yes.
Yes. Also a bootlicker.
Yes.
Worse than a bootlicker, an active collaborator.
Yes. By the way, I said it was horrifying to see that shot of him just being puppeted by K2SO. And he's like, look, I'm a dead guy now. It was disturbing, but I was inside like, it's what Imperials get, man. Okay. So Hanrahan debriefs Elise, who is a new character that we meet.
Elise Park.
This actor seems familiar to me. I'm gonna have to look up who she is.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I've seen her in something else before. So we know something bad has happened, and she killed all of her men, including this guy named Leon that we don't know who he is yet. And Elise says that if she was like, she's like, hey, if I was going to be executed, Isaac would come down here and do it himself. So like, let's stop fucking around. Like, let's get on with this. And we also learned that there's an ongoing fight with the Scars at their borders, and like their treaty might be broken. So we find out why Elise's men died.
So they figured, hey, there's some zombies down in the basement. Let's fucking, like, we need the hospital. It's really fucking important. So let's just go clear out the zombies.
Yeah.
So she sends a squad. There's 3 levels of basement. So she sends a squad down to basement 1. Everything's fine. No zombies. No nothing. Great. She's like, okay, go check basement 2. And she sends Leon, because that's her best soldier, to lead the squad. And they don't hear anything back for a while.
Yep.
And then over the radio, like, Leon is like coughing into it a whole bunch. And
having
like,
some pretty serious respiratory symptoms.
And she's like, okay, what the fuck's going on? And he says, there's spores in the air. Like, the cordyceps are putting out spores. Fucking seal us shut. Like, lock us in here. Don't let anything out.
Which, by the way, kind of a ballsy call to make. And she did. Yes. They sealed all the doors, go into the basement. We find out that Leon was her son. And Hanrahan's like, yeah, all right. Well, you definitely did the right thing. You're a fucking hero, but we can't tell anybody about this.
I'm going to tell only the people I need to tell, which is definitely not going to backfire on us at all.
Oh, sure, yeah, because that never hurts anyone.
No. And sorry about your son.
Yeah.
I'm going to go now.
Yeah. This is the part where I have no idea what is being talked about. The Last of Us. It's a good show. It's on HBO. By the way, I like how when she tells Hanrahan that the cordyceps is airborne, there is a visible change in her face, and she's like, oh fuck, oh that's bad.
That's real bad.
So Dina and Ellie are hanging out in the theater, and Dina is she's like listening to the wolf radio, and she's collecting intelligence. She's drawing on the map and shit. And this is a really fun dynamic that they've created, because Dina is like the brainy one that knows how to triangulate signals and shit.
Like she's been to school.
Yeah, and Ellie's just
she paid attention in school, let's say.
And Ellie's just a fucking moron who likes to shoot things. And you know what? It's a good contrast between the two of them.
The brains and the brawn.
And look, if your argument here is, well, that's not exactly how Ellie is in the game, I totally agree. Ellie is scrappy and still like really smart, maybe unconventionally smart. And I don't think that they're actually making Ellie in the show to be like this total like jarhead dumbass.
I said it before, like, if the conditions of Ellie's life were different, she would probably be off curing cancer or something.
Yeah.
But she grew up in a zombie apocalypse in a fucking terrible group home, so this is who she is.
Right.
And she's really good at the things she's good at. She just doesn't have, like, the well-rounded liberal arts education that you would get
Dina
outside of a zombie apocalypse.
I think I wouldn't read into this more than just Dina being able to tell Ellie she's an idiot, because it's kind of cute, and that's how they talk to each other. So Ellie goes to explore the theater, and she finds the stage where there are a bunch of instruments, and so she picks up a guitar and she starts playing Pearl Jam's Future Days, which is a really big deal in the game. In the game, she passes the porch where Joel is sitting, and she goes and talks to him, and he sings that song to her, and they kind of like reconcile a little bit, if I remember correctly. I think we're gonna find out that.
Yeah, because in the show, like, she goes up on stage, she grabs the guitar, she starts playing like the first couple bars, and then stops.
And she can't do it right.
And just puts the guitar down.
I think we're going to get a flashback and discover that
I think we are. That
Ellie was lying to Gale when she said that she didn't stop and talk to Joel, and I think we're going to see him sing the song to her, which is going to be heartbreaking. I'm just warning everybody. So Dina comes in, and Ellie asks, hey, did you figure out like the best way to the hospital? And she answers yes, and Ellie's like, good, because she's like in this headspace where she was just reminded of Joel, and her brain has gone back to revenge mode.
She's in full murder mode.
So they study the map. The route to the hospital isn't going to be easy, but they know that Nora is on the first floor, far into the north wing, because the wolves have made no effort to encrypt their comms.
Which, in fairness, it's the zombie apocalypse, and they're the only people around who have radios, so why should they?
Right. Well, Dina's
sort of security here?
Dina's the one that works out that it's because the Seraphites are old-timey and don't use technology. Yeah. And she has this funny thing where she tells...
You ever heard of the Amish?
Yeah, she tells...
Ellie's like, what the fuck's an Amish?
Yeah, and she's like, well, they used to pretend like they lived in the 1800s. And Ellie's like, oh, that's really stupid. And she's like, yeah, it kind of is. So there's a weird building on the way to the hospital that they don't know what it's for.
They say like, okay, all the patrols go like past it, but they don't go
inside it. Right.
And like, there's probably zombies in there.
Right.
But it also means that the wolves aren't watching it all, so we just need to sneak through. You know, there's probably going to be like 2 or 3 zombies, so we can just
nothing they can't handle.
We can knife those and just keep moving.
Yeah. So they get on their way, and Ellie expresses regret because they find some dead bodies, and Dina throws up again, and she realizes she's bringing the pregnant love of her life out on a murder mission. And she's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I brought you out here. And then Dina tells this story about what happened to her family, and the gist of it is pretty much like, it didn't matter what Joel did. No one deserved to die the way that he did. And basically, she's like, I'm going to follow your lead. You want to go back? We'll go back.
You want to keep going?
Yeah.
We'll keep going.
But I am making my own decisions, and you are not responsible for what happens to me. Like, I know the risk of us being out here. I love Joel as much as you did. So if we're going to go murder some bitches, let's go murder some bitches.
They are going out of their way to make it very clear that this is a Greek tragedy and that Ellie is complicit in her own downfall.
Right.
Like, she has so many opportunities to turn away from her course of action,
right,
and she's not doing it.
Yeah. So they get to the weird building, and Dina sets the rules, and she's like, okay, no firing unless it's like urgently necessary because it'll attract the wolves.
She says, if it comes down to either shooting or running,
we run.
Yeah,
we run. There's a sweet moment where Dina makes fun of Ellie's tendency to shoot first and think later, and she's like, it's very fun, it's very exciting, and girl, that's why I love you. And Ellie's like, wait, you love me? And the smile she has is so genuine and heartwarming. And then she goes to say that she loves her back, and Dina says, oh, I know. And it's like, girl, you've been watching Empire Strikes Back, haven't you?
They're so adorable, and that's why it's going to hurt so much when Dina inevitably dies.
Is that what you think happens?
I haven't played the game, so I don't know what happens.
Okay. John has some theories, too.
I mean, she either dies or gets infected. Like, it's
okay.
It's The Last of Us. One of those two things is going to happen.
So they get further in, and they realize that there's a stalker, which was one of the smart the smart zombies, right? And
Ellie's like, okay, it's fine. I'm gonna go one way, you're gonna go the other.
Yeah.
Whichever it tries to flank, the other just comes up and shanks it.
Yeah,
we'll be fine.
Have you seen Jurassic Park with the raptors? Because that's what they're gonna try to do. Yeah. But we know this now, and we can do it to them.
And there's only one of them, so we're definitely gonna be fine. They look back. There's 2 of them.
They shine a light, and there's another one, and then there's another one up there, and they turn around. There's a couple over there, and they're like, "Oh,
fuck,
shit!
Okay,
yeah,
time for a new plan."
So the tables, how they've been turned.
Yes,
and so the problem is that like there are way more of them than they thought, and they're surrounded. So they see a cage because it's like a factory floor.
Yeah,
there's like an area, like a caged area with a door.
Yeah,
and Ellie tells hold on a second. Ellie tells Dina to get into the cage and lock herself in. And she's like, look, I can get bit a couple times. It won't be a big of a deal. You're pregnant. You can't get bit. You can get bit 0 times pretty much. So you get in the cage. So Dina makes it to the cage, but it isn't long until like infected start tearing the chain link off of it and shit. Meanwhile, Ellie is like getting mauled by a couple of infected. Things are looking bad for them. They're out of bullets. There are lots of infected, and then shots start to ring out, and somebody saves them, and the camera pans up, and it's Jesse.
I was certain this was going to be Tommy, just because I've been talking with you, and we know how things are different from the game.
Right. I think we are going to see him later.
Well, we know we are because of a conversation, but we'll get there.
So they escape, but their gunshots have attracted wolves who are just shooting at them now.
Yes.
They run into a wooded area, and they realize...
They run into the park.
Yeah.
And the wolves stop chasing them.
And they're like, oh, shit.
Like,
well, is it infected? Yeah.
Why?
As they get deeper, they start hearing whistling. And this is... Anyone who's ever played this game, you hear these whistles, and you're like, oh, fuck. Oh, no.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. So they find this scene where several Seraphites are stringing up a captive wolf who begs for his life, and they disembowel him. And it's real gross. It's nasty.
Like, it's not enough to just hang the guy. They also have to fucking cut open his guts.
So there's a whistle, and then Dina gets shot in the leg. With an arrow. Yeah, right, with an arrow. Because they don't use guns. They only use bows and arrows.
Well, they apparently use bolt-action rifles, if Isaac is to be believed.
Oh, like the hypocrites, like the heretics or whatever.
But they mostly use bow and arrow.
Right, yeah. So Ellie tells Jesse, she's like, okay, get Dina out of here.
Get her back to the theater.
I'll make a distraction. And so they split up.
Yeah, at one point, Jesse had been talking to them like, I came here with Tommy. We split up to cover more ground. We're looking for you, and we're going to head back to the theater and rendezvous in the morning.
Yeah. By the way, these guys don't want Tommy around. That dude's such a badass. So, Ellie is chased through the park by scars, but she loses them. She makes it out of the hospital, or she makes it out of the park into the hospital. Just almost got caught by a dog, which is if you're familiar with the game, is one of those things like because you can get found by dogs in the game, and you have to be like cognizant of your trail and stuff. And she just misses a dog and gets in the hospital. Inside, Nora is treating like wounded guys, and she goes to like wash some bandages or something, and Ellie just melts out of the shadows, and like she's like, you know who I am, right? And she's like, yeah, you know who I am. And Nora says, if you shoot, every wolf in the area is going to come here, and
she's like, you'll be dead.
She's like, yeah, you'll be fucking dead. And then she says, I'm sorry you had to see what happened to Joel, but that little bitch got what he deserved. And you cue that Kill Bill sound. Yeah, and Nora throws like cleaner at her and runs, and Ellie chases. And they're like, she's getting shot out by wolves and shit. Nora finds one of those sealed doors from the beginning and breaks through into an elevator shaft. And the elevator collapses when she jumps on it and takes her down to the basement, which we know from the beginning is not a place you want to be. Yeah. So Ellie follows into the basement and discovers this area of insane cordyceps infection. It's like everywhere.
It's up on the walls.
Yes.
The grossest thing is that there's a couple of zombies that are like entombed in the walls and just breathing out spores.
Yes, it is really gross. Ellie turns on the lights, bathing the area in a red light, and if you've played or seen the game, you know what's like coming. Nora is collapsed against a door that she couldn't open.
She's coughing.
She's already showing some like severe respiratory symptoms.
She's in bad shape.
She tells Ellie, she's like,
well, great job, kid. You killed both of us.
Yeah, and Ellie's like, no, just you, I think. And then she puts together that Abby was
holy shit, you're the immune kid. Do you even know what Joel killed everyone in that hospital?
Hold on a second. She says, you're her, the one that was immune. You're real, as in like I didn't actually believe that shit was actually real. And Ellie says, where's Abby? And the way that Ellie just walks out of the red light with her gun and shit, it is so chilling. And she says, Nora says, don't you know what he did? And she answers, I don't care. And then Nora says, he killed everyone in the hospital, including the only person that could make a cure from you. Abby's father. Joel shot him in the head. That's what he did. And Ellie lowers her gun and she says, I know. And you're like,
damn.
Go back and watch that first scene of the season, where she tells Joel, like, look, if you promise nothing happened back at the hospital, then we're good. We can keep going. And Joel takes several seconds to think about it and was like, I swear. And Ellie's got this look on her face like, okay. Like she knew that whole time, right?
Yeah.
And it is this performance. I mean, the actor that plays Nora, who's going to be in a Naughty Dog game, by the way, coming up. But like both performances are great, but Bella Ramsey just knocks it out of the park. Nora refuses to give Abby up, and Ellie finds a pipe.
Okay, I got this pipe here. Where's Abby? Thwack. Where's Abby?
Yeah.
Thwack.
Yep.
Where's Abby? Thwack.
Now, we don't see whether or not she gives Abby up. We cut to black, and Ellie wakes up in her bed at Jackson, which is clearly in the past.
Before she moved out to the garage, even.
Yes. Yeah, she's in her bedroom. Right, yeah. So she looks at the doorway, and Joel is standing there, and he says, hey, kiddo. And she says hi with this really sweet smile. And it's like, why did you have to take Joel away from us? I love seeing him on screen. And that's how the episode ends.
I'm not sure how, so I don't know anything about what happens here during the game. I'm not sure how to interpret this. My current thought,
Interpret what?
The juxtaposition of where's Abby thwack against
to the past.
This flashback.
Sure.
I could interpret it as Ellie dissociating from the torture she's doing to happier times, but I don't know if that's correct.
There is, I believe in the game we do switch to a flashback from this.
Okay.
From this action, because there's still, remember that there's 5 years of experience between her and Joel, in between there's like a 5-year gap that we don't know very much about, and there are some stories that need to be told there that develops their relationship and kind of reinforce Ellie's neurotic need to hunt Abby down, and it's it's pretty good. And we also get similar stories on Abby's side as well. So let me read a couple. Did everyone leave after the last one started? Yeah,
that's fair.
Also,
we are a Star Wars.
Still a bunch of people watching. I just don't think anyone's commenting.
That's fine.
We are going to end it there for tonight. Our voices are tired. We will be back. Well, first of all,
our emotions are tired.
Yes.
Because holy shit, there was so much.
DLC for Star Wars Outlaws drops tomorrow.
Playing that, I guess.
We might be doing Battlefront tomorrow, but I'll be doing the DLC at some point this week. So that'll be at 7:00 Central on some day. And then Sunday we'll be doing Gungas and Dragons, which
where one of your characters died quite messily.
The first time we've lost a member of the party. Actually, we lost 2 characters. Within 20 minutes.
Better and better.
One of them didn't die; he just left.
Okay.
And then that our friend who played the character is coming back with another character, and then our friend Sean, who played our captain, was vaporized. And I was the first mate, and so now I am
You're the captain now.
and unexpectedly leading this ship, and so I've written a speech for his memorial, and I've got some plans on how we're gonna continue and shit. So
how dramatic.
Yeah, it's very cinematic actually. So you check that out. That'll be on Sunday, 7:00 Central. If you're not familiar, it's not necessarily Star Wars, but it's a sci-fi spaceship tabletop RPG. It's kind of neat. So yeah, join me for any and all of those things. Say hi when you do. I'd be happy to say bye back. Or say hi as well. In the I got really distracted by your waving and completely lost